Everybody knows that the dice are loaded. Everybody rolls with their fingers crossed. Everybody knows the war is over. Everybody knows the good guys lost. Everybody knows the fight was fixed. The poor stay poor, the rich get rich. That's how it goes. Everybody knows. Everybody knows that the boat is leaking. Everybody knows that the captain lied. Everybody got this broken feeling, like their father or their dog just died. Everybody talking to their pockets. Everybody wants a box of chocolates and a long stem rose. Everybody knows. Everybody knows that you love me, baby. Everybody knows that you really do. Everybody knows that you've been faithful. Oh, give or take a night or two. Everybody knows you've been discreet, but there were so many people you just had to meet without your clothes. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. That's how it goes. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. That's how it goes. Everybody knows. And everybody knows that it's now or never. Everybody knows that it's me or you. And everybody knows that you live forever when you've drawn a line or two. Everybody knows the deal is rotten. Old Black Joe still picking cotton for your ribbons and bows. And everybody knows. And everybody knows that the plague is coming. Everybody knows that it's moving fast. Everybody knows that the naked man and woman are just a shining artifact of the past. Everybody knows the scene is dead, but there's gonna be a meter on your bed that will disclose what everybody knows.
Blessed are the eyes that see what you see. For I tell you, many kings and prophets have desired to see what you see, and have not seen it. To hear what you hear, and have not heard it. I thank you, Father, for hiding these things from the learned and the wise, and revealing them to the innocent and the simple.
Machine around us, this so-called music industry, is such a demonic thing. It sacrifices people's lives and their essences.
Open your eyes, don't sleep, don't fall for whatever they feed you. And a lot of times, you know, there's just wickedness. And you have to know that there's wickedness in the world. You have to know that there are people who are just here to profit and to put their foot on the back of people who are poor and who don't think that hip-hop can be used for good or for evil.
I sold my soul to the devil. I know it's a crappy deal.
And I just think that the whole idea of celebrity and fame has become really convoluted and, you know, kind of bastardized. If your ultimate goal is to be famous, then you're gonna do a lot to get there, like sign your name in blood in a contract with the devil. Like, that's just the truth. I've seen so many people like forsake their moral code and their value systems just for a little bit of fame, and it's not worth it at the end of the day. It's really not.
I try to live up to that, you know. I get possessed by the spirits.
Everybody in the building, put your diamonds up.
Fellow Americans, it is with the utmost pride and sincerity that I present this recording as a living
Jay, Rain Man is back to Little Miss Sunshine. London, where you?
Hear that, because there's a bunch of devil worshipers in Hollywood. Hollywood, and there's a lot of black folks too, and they be throwing up them signs. You see them, this, that, all of them. Watch the rappers, watch them folks. It's scary. It's very scary. That devil is real.
What was your bargain?
To get where I am now.
Should I ask who you made the bargain with?
with the chief commander.
On this earth?
And this earth, and then in a world we can't see.
I kind of sang about, what was going on in my life at 15, and that's how I got introduced to the music industry. Because I swear I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music. Yeah. But it didn't work out, and so I...
these hoes love me like Satan, man. Yeah. And these hoes love me like Satan, man. Yeah.
Go back, I never would've rapped. I sold my soul to the devil, I'll never get it back. I just wanna leave this game with level head intact.
Yeah, I believe in the Illuminati. There is a certain level that you get at that you can't go no further unless you're aware of certain things. And I'll leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? There's a certain level that you get to, that there's a door that you have to walk through. And it's on you to walk through that door. And once you walk through that door, there's no coming back.
There's a method to their madness. There's really not much method to yours, because you're operating from a place of ignorance, not understanding the nature of your enemy. And if you don't understand the nature of your enemy and the weapons they use, you cannot fight that enemy. You can't fight the battle. You shouldn't even be on the battlefield. That's why you're losing the war. And don't tell me you're not, because I'm in a place of great knowledge about who's winning and who's losing this war. And I can assure you, you're losing the war. Doesn't mean it can't be turned around.
Sometimes they don't want to, and they're, Gaga, we can't get, the frequency's weird, and, it's sounding a little bit strange. And I'm like, if you don't get this right now, I swear to Lucifer, I'm gonna, I get a little bit mad.
I prefer the experience. I mean, making the film is great. Right. The process is all fine, but then he's up there. Right.
All of these things, it is a part of the New Age movement's agenda to establish a one-world government system under which Lucifer will be acknowledged as sovereign. Why? Because our minds will be already acclimated to receiving these demonic suggestions as something that is good, because we have enjoyed it in our music, we've enjoyed it in our television programs, our cartoons, our video games, and in our clothing. But the devil is trying to make it his resting place, his throne room. Why? Because it is the agency, the platform by which the devil can reach the masses in the shortest period of time, and you're falling for this garbage.
Programming that we are constantly assaulted by throughout our life conditions us. It programs us to a particular worldview.
Is they are absolutely propagandizing the world with all of their theses about the nature of the universe that we live in, where we come from, our origins, the origin of the universe, and so forth.
The project is literally the secularization of the world.
Engaged in running your mouths, doing your business, multiplying, buying houses, cars, business, whatever you're doing. And when you're told about God, religion, life, morality, you're saying, look, I ain't got no time for that.
Because this media is here and designed to make sure that they ask no critical questions. To make sure that the only thing that they are concerned about is having a good time. The only thing they're concerned about is filling their bellies. The only thing they're concerned about is acquiring more and more material things. And so that is why, today, one of the struggles that you have as young people, that when you want to do different events, and you want to talk about real issues, you have the struggle of many of your peers who've been so conditioned in this matrix that they would rather party than listen to the truth. They would rather party and shop and go to the mall than to stand up for issues of justice.
Would you like me to show them how the sign of the curse works?
Sign of the curse?
Completely different.
How does it go?
No, not at you people out there in the audience, but this is the difference.
Aim it toward Red China, would you?
This is the sign of the horns. A curse sign, the two fingers extended. This way, spread apart for sort of shotgun blast, you know,
I always
all over.
figured if I ever met the The devil would have dirty fingernails. Go on.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
Where?
Dirty fingernails.
Well, that's because I've been fooling around with your equipment.
Never mind. Don't blame it on the studio. Go on with it.
All right.
So that's the sign of the horn, and then what happens? Is that it?
Well, there are other ones, too.
Yeah, what are the other ones?
The other ones, one of them's the pox sign. That's 3 fingers extended.
A pox on you?
A pox sign.
Aleister Crowley, easily the most famous black magician, made numerous references to the all-seeing eye as the Eye of Set, or the Eye of Satan, and repeatedly associated both the sun and the eye with Satan. Until quite recently, the $1 bill and various resources associated with Freemasonry and black magic were the only venues the all-seeing eye had. And then, something happened. Use of this once guarded symbol skyrocketed, despite the fact that its meaning remains veiled to the masses. It appears as the logo of the American Total Information Awareness Office, Great Britain's famous MI5, cathedrals, and of course, Freemasonry. The all-seeing eye has also undergone a pop culture explosion and, as of 40 years ago, has appeared in more than 30 major films and television shows.
After more than 20 years, I've finally decided to tell the world what I witnessed in 1991, which I believe was one of the biggest turning point in popular music, and ultimately American society. This may explain why in early 1991, I was invited to attend a closed-door meeting with a small group of music business insiders to discuss rap music's new direction. Little did I know that we would be asked to participate in one of the most unethical and destructive business practice I've ever seen. The meeting was held at a private residence on the outskirts of Los Angeles. I remember about 25 to 30 people being there, most of them familiar faces. Speaking to those I knew, we joked about the theme of the meeting as many of us did not care for rap music and failed to see the purpose of being invited to a private gathering to discuss its future. Among the attendees was a small group of unfamiliar faces who stayed to themselves and made no attempt to socialize beyond their circle. Based on their behavior and formal appearances, they didn't seem to be in our industry. Our casual chatter was interrupted when we were asked to sign a confidentiality agreement preventing us from publicly discussing the information presented during the meeting. Needless to say, this intrigued and in some cases disturbed many of us. The agreement was only a page long but very clear on the matter and consequences, which stated that violating the terms would result in job termination. We asked several people what this meeting was about and the reason for such secrecy but couldn't find anyone who had answers for us. A few people refused to sign and walked out. No one stopped them. I was tempted to follow but curiosity got the best of me. A man who was part of the unfamiliar group collected the agreements from us. Quickly after the meeting began, one of my industry colleagues, who shall remain nameless like everyone else, thanked us for attending. He then gave the floor to a man who only introduced himself by first name and gave no further details about his personal background. I think he was the owner of the residence, but it was never confirmed. He briefly praised all of us for the success we had achieved in our industry and congratulated us for being selected as part of this small group of decision makers. At this point I began to feel slightly uncomfortable at the strangeness of this gathering. The subject quickly changed as the speaker went on to tell us that the respective companies we represented had invested in a very profitable industry which could become even more rewarding with our active involvement. He explained that the companies we work for had invested millions into the building of privately owned prisons and that our positions of influence in the music industry would actually impact the profitability of these investments. I remember many of us in the group immediately looking at each other in confusion. At the time, I didn't know what a private prison was, but I wasn't the only one. Sure enough, someone asked what these prisons were and what any of this had to do with us. We were told that these prisons were built by privately owned companies who received funding from the government based on the number of inmates. The more inmates, the more money the government would pay these prisons. It was also made clear to us that since these prisons are privately owned, as they become publicly traded, we'd be able to buy shares. Most of us were taken back by this. Again, a couple of people asked what this had to do with us. At this point, my industry colleague who had first opened the meeting took the floor again and answered our questions. He told us that since our employers had become silent investors in this prison business, it was now in their interest to make sure that these prisons remained filled. Our job would be to help make this happen by marketing music which promotes criminal behavior, rap being the music of choice. He assured us that this would be a great situation for us because rap music was becoming an increasingly profitable market for our companies, and as employee, we'd also be able to buy personal stocks in these prisons. Immediately, silence came over the room. You could have heard a pin drop. I remember looking around to make sure I wasn't dreaming and saw half of the people with dropped jaws. My daze was interrupted when someone shouted, "Is this a fucking joke?" At this point things became chaotic. Two of the men who were part of the unfamiliar group grabbed the man who shouted out and attempted to remove him from the house. A few of us, myself included, tried to intervene. One of them pulled out a gun and we all backed off. They separated us from the crowd and all four of us were escorted outside. My industry colleague who had opened the meeting earlier hurried out to meet us and reminded us that we had signed agreement and would suffer the consequences of speaking about this publicly or even with those who attended the meeting. I asked him why he was involved with something this corrupt and he replied that it was bigger than the music business and nothing we'd want to challenge without risking consequences. We all protested and as he walked back into the house I remember word for word the last thing he said, "It's out of my hands now. Remember you signed an agreement." He then closed the door behind him. The men rushed us to our cars and actually watched until we drove off. A million things were going through my mind as I drove away and I eventually decided to pull over and park on a side street in order to collect my thoughts. I replayed everything in my mind repeatedly and it all seemed very surreal to me. I was angry with myself for not having taken a more active role in questioning what had been presented to us. I'd like to believe the shock of it all is what suspended my better nature. After what seemed like an eternity, I was able to calm myself enough to make it home. I didn't talk or call anyone that night. The next day back at the office, I was visibly out of it but blamed it on being under the weather. No one else in my department had been invited to the meeting and I felt a sense of guilt for not being able to share what I had witnessed. I thought about contacting the three others who were kicked out of the house but I didn't remember their names and thought that tracking them down would probably bring unwanted attention. I considered speaking out publicly at the risk of losing my job but I realized I'd probably be jeopardizing more than my job and I wasn't willing to risk anything happening to my family. I thought about those men with guns and wondered who they were. I had been told that this was bigger than the music business and all I could do was let my imagination run free. There were no answers and no one to talk to. I tried to do a little bit of research on private prisons but didn't uncover anything about the music business involvement. However, the information I did find confirmed how dangerous this prison business really was. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. Eventually, it was as if the meeting had never taken place. It all seemed surreal. I became more reclusive and stopped going to any industry events unless professionally obligated to do so. On 2 occasions, I found myself attending the same function as my former colleague. Both times, our eyes met but nothing more was exchanged. As the months passed, rap music had definitely changed direction. I was never a fan of it but even I could tell the difference. Rap acts that talked about politics or harmless fun were quickly fading away as gangster rap started dominating the airwaves. Only a few months had passed since the meeting but I suspect that the ideas presented that day had been successfully implemented. It was as if the order has been given to all major label executives. The music was climbing the charts and most companies were more than happy to capitalize on it. Each one was churning out their very own gangster rap acts on an assembly line. Everyone bought into it, consumers included. Violence and drug use became a central theme in most rap music. I spoke to a few of my peers in the industry to get their opinions on the new trend but was told repeatedly that it was all about supply and demand. Sadly, many of them even expressed that the music reinforced their prejudice of minorities. I officially quit the music business in 1993 but my heart had already left months before. I broke ties with the majority of my peers and removed myself from this thing I had once loved. I took some time off, returned to Europe for a few years, settled out of state, and lived a quiet life away from the world of entertainment. As the years passed, I managed to keep my secret, fearful of sharing it with the wrong person but also a little ashamed of not having had the balls to blow the whistle. But as rap got worse, my guilt grew. Fortunately, in the late 90s, having the internet as a resource which wasn't at my disposal in the early days made it easier for me to investigate what is now labeled the prison industrial complex. Now that I have a greater understanding of how private prisons operate, things make much more sense than they ever have. I see how the criminalization of rap music played a big part in promoting racial stereotypes and misguided so many impressionable young minds into adopting these glorified criminal behaviors which often lead to incarceration. 20 years of guilt is a heavy load to carry but the least I can do now is to share my story, hoping that fans of rap music realize how they've been used for the past 2 decades. Although I plan on remaining anonymous for obvious reasons, my goal now is to get this information out to as many people as possible. Please help me spread the word. Hopefully, others who attended the meeting back in 1991 will be inspired by this and tell their own stories. Most importantly, if only one life has been touched by my story, I pray it makes the weight of my guilt a little more tolerable. Thank you.
We're living in a virtual reality. We're living in a totally controlled environment where very few people realize the extent to which we are all manipulated and controlled by unseen forces. And in fact, I'd go as far as to say that our society is the most manipulated and controlled society in history because of the programming and conditioning we all undergo through both mass media and public education.
We're seeing a society that not only has a lot more people of lower IQ, but a lot fewer people of higher IQ. In other words, a dumbing down, a chemical dumbing down of society. So everyone's sort of mediocre. That leaves them dependent on government because they can't excel. We have these people of lower IQ who are totally dependent. Then we have this mass of people who are going to believe anything they're told because they can't really think clearly. And very few people of very high IQ who have good cognitive function who can figure this all out. And that's what they want. So, you know, you can kind of piece it together as to why they are so insistent in spending so many hundreds of millions of dollars of propaganda money to dumb down society.
Oh yes, and music is a whole another area that employs these techniques. Popular music, all popular culture, movies, TV, music, they carry messages, and it's not just entertainment. Entertainment is not value-free. It has ideological content. It presents a worldview that influences the people who are watching or listening. So we've got this disconnect, thinking that entertainment is harmless when it's the most important delivery system of propaganda, because it influences people without their conscious awareness, and that's the ultimate in controlling. People in society is to do it without them being aware of it.
hypnotizing. Could you be the devil? Could you be an angel? Your touch, magnetizing, physical imploding, leaves my body glowing. Stay, be afraid, you're not like the others, futuristic brothers. DNA, they don't understand you. You're from the heart of the world, a different dimension. You are in my eyes. I'm ready to go, lead me into the light. Kiss me, infect me with your love and fill me with your poison. Take me, wanna be a victim, ready for abduction. You're an alien, your touch so
The boy shot when the wild lad walk. Fool shot when the wild lad talk. Place locked down when the wild lad ride. Funny bang song when wild lad was not.
Now, you got issues with the industry. What's going down with the industry, dog?
The industry is full of a bunch of dick-sucking, dick-riding, bending over the desk-ass niggas, straight up like that. Whoever don't like it, bring it, nigga. Bring it. I don't give a fuck. Bring it. Bring it, bitch.
Well, the industry is full of homo hating ass niggas. You know what I mean? It's like they got this new breed of rapper that's paying DJs to play their shit.
Right.
And, you know what I'm saying? They sucking the record label executive dicks, and it's like there's too much of that going on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Let me be me. Let me be the artist that I am and just play my motherfucking music. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Now they want you all up under this, you know, sitting at the going to dinner with them and shit like that, and you know all that favor for a favor shit. I don't get down like that. Look, I'll give you the music, you give my money. That's it.
Today's show is called What, Sodomite? And this is what this country has come to. It's a bootlicking society where you have to be like me in order to make money. See? And that's how they roll in Hollywood. And that's how they roll in any kind of job that's going to give you 6 figures or more. You got to be a part of the brotherhood. You got to be a part of the sisterhood. You got to be a fraternity sorority. Now remember, next month, it's July. All the big-time constituents of black entertainment will meet in Atlanta. Man, it's going to be some freaky things going on in that month. They're going to put on their Pandora box. And what I mean by that, they're going to allow them, you'll never see this face value because it's strictly for the movers and shakers, your Tyler Perrys, your Eddie Murphys. You know, I kid you not, man, this really goes on. Your P. Diddy's. You're going to see, you won't see it in the public, but that's what they do in that month. That's a celebration. And then they have newcomers that they bring to the forefront who wants to be in the business, who wants to sell their soul like Nelly, who wants to be a part of this ritual goddess elite club. They'll take you into Pandora's box and allow them to be dressed up like Eyes Wide Shut, and they're going to be popping dudes in their behind. I kid you not, man. And the women going to get it too. You know, but the women are not going to celebrate with the men. It's a separate entity, but they have women over the women. But then when she want to get really broke in, the men initiate her too. Then you're part of the hood, sisterhood, but that's just the beginning. Because now you got to take it to the next level. They got to teach you the Baphomet. They got to teach you the rituals. They got to teach you all the do's and don'ts. Then you got to sign your name in blood. That's when you're getting ready to make the big money. like Nelly. See, I'm just throwing him under the bus because he's having a difficult time dealing with what he's done. It's too late, man. You done had 10 to 12 years of success. You done had money galore. You done bought $3 to $5 million mansions. You've been balling with Bentleys and all these things. You done popped men in their butt. P. Diddy and Nelly done got it on a few occasions. When you get ready to come in that hip-hop era, Diddy gonna get you. Especially if he think you look like something. He wants some of that booty, man. Those are dudes he's popping. When P. Diddy is on his yacht or whatever he's doing, it'd be smooth-faced dudes with glasses. Now, ask yourself this. Why do these dudes wear dark Gucci shades in the middle of the night? Because the eyes are the window to the soul. They're evil as hell, man. They figure with their glasses on they can lie to you. You won't see who they really are. That's how they get down. They're sodomites. And they hide it not. You sign with Cash Money, you're going to do the same thing Soulja Boy did. You're going to do the same thing Bow Wow did. You're going to do the same thing that Waka Flocka Flavor did. What did they do after they got signed on these labels? They tattoo their whole body. Why do you think they do that, yo? Just to be different? Nah. They did that because they was raped. They get they anal to be in this truth of the music industry, showing their honors to the people that's before them. That's the truth of the industry, that you're willing to take a man's penis in his anal. That's the truth. Okay? And when they did that, they just didn't do it one time. They did multiple times. And the only way they feel like they can get their dignity back is to tattoo their body to make them feel like I still have my manhood. What you think they did to B12, man, BK? They raped them boys, man. They popped them in that immature, they raped them boys. They literally raped them boys, dude. Tigger was done in too. All of them are. If they didn't follow the rituals, they could not get airplay. Did you know that? If they didn't have the right executives sucking them off and in return popping them in their anal, you know they couldn't sell records. Because the music business is a force, man. And when you look at them, they look hardcore, like, oh, man, they ain't down with that. Yeah, they are. Waka Flocka. You can't shit. You can look at him and tell he done sucked a few. Come on now. All these guys, man. Tupac, too. When he took, I said this before, but let me really reiterate. When he took that picture in the bathtub with the gold between his legs, he was their pinup bitch. He submitted to them like, hey, whatever goes on, goes on. I just want to get paid. That's the way they get down. It's just the truth. Some people can handle the truth and some people can't. We don't care. But it's time to start looking at things with both eyes open and not both eyes shut, because the truth is the light, man. It's this cat that want to be a part of the rap game so bad, man. He looked like he would kill his mama to get a hit record. Rick Ross signed this guy on YouTube. And when Rick Ross signed that dude, man, as wicked as Rick Ross is, now you know Rick Ross is wicked as hell. He did not want to sign that brother. When that dude signed that contract with Rick Ross, and Jewmaker hit it right on the point. He looked at that contract, man. He just shook his head, but you can see in his eyes. He just had a look where all bets are off. Like, God damn, another brother gone. You see what I'm saying? But them demons got to be fed, man. He has to do it. He has to feed the demons, meaning he got to he got to find people who's vulnerable and dumb enough to want to sell their soul. Once you get into the sodomite world of Hollywood, you have to keep initiating. Why do you think P. Diddy keep bringing out new people? He ain't going to help them. He going to give them one song and he going to get rid of them. Where's Danny Kane at? I mean, seriously, where they at? He really made those girls look like whores, which they probably already are. Now they're just taking skin shots, right? Booty shots, ass cheeks out. See, that's what happens when you get in this world. And by the way, them girls was turned out too. So y'all really believe that this doesn't go on? Do you really believe that it's all about perseverance and getting your education and just getting with the right person to see your talent and give you that type of wealth? These people are demonic. When you see those guys on HGTV, you know, that home network, how they show you how to fix up a house and buy property, These people are all demonic. Selling New York and all that, all of them are gay. All those brokers are gay, and most of the women go by. I'm just telling you how they get down. What they try to do is show you how to build a house and show you how to buy property, but at the same time, they show you how to intertwine with gay. See, a lot of y'all don't catch that. Y'all just look at it as, oh, that's people are people. No, it's not. It's a mind control set. The Food Network, brother. Get it? You look at these guys and be like, man, I'm a chef. I just want to do food. I don't want to be a part of Hollywood. They got their hand on everything that makes money. To be a part of the Food Network, you got to do the same thing as getting a hip-hop contract. It's just dealing with food. You got to take the oath. You got to be a part of the brotherhood. And if you're going to make money like Rachel Ray, you got to sign your name in blood, too. She's wicked as hell. Now check this. Whenever they doing HGTV, notice when they doing the HGTV, they have their hands in pyramids a lot. So y'all got to start checking the flow, because everything in Hollywood and everything on cable is ran by who? Illuminati. You get this? So this is how they roll. They always, when they're talking about home networking and how to buy property, they have their hands in the pyramid. This on HGTV now. And it's just about you got to start catching it. When they do interviews, the interviewer have his hand in the pyramid, and the person they interview have their hands in the pyramid. And then you got assholes that know this is the way to get paid, and they want a part of the brotherhood. Now, I've seen several episodes on HGTV where normal black people be talking to the interviewer, and they've got their hands in the pyramid trying to get that guy's attention. Now, don't you know that guy know what you're trying to do, but he doesn't know of you. He hasn't heard of you. Because if he knew of you before he do the interview, y'all going to be briefed on y'all brotherhood and y'all gestures of what y'all going to do. So when you throw up your hand in a pyramid like that, he don't know how to take you. He don't know if you're just playing, you're trying to get in. So afterwards, he's going to have a conversation with you. They're going to let it float, because that's how they get down. They're going to let you show that pyramid, but afterwards they're going to question you on that because they don't know you. And most of the time, when you're trying to get their attention, they don't want you. They choose you. You don't choose them. Y'all get that? That's how it go. Y'all heard this dude named Jonas? He had a clothing line called LRG Clothing. That was a hit, man. That was a hit. They took him out for a reason. That was it. He was on his way. He had a great clothing line, but there was something that went down that didn't go accordingly. They had to take him out. So a lot of people don't understand this, how this thing roll, man. It's a sodomite world. And matter of fact, they done popped him in his butt, too, before he left out of here. Now, and check this out now. Whenever it happens, it's always they by themselves. Come on. This dude just died out the blue. No, it was a hit. It was something they wanted him to comply with. He didn't agree with, so they took him out. See, that's how they do you once you sign. He signed his name in blood. He was a part of all that. See, you can't be that successful. You can't be that successful and not be a part of their brotherhood. They're going to, look, man, she knew that it was on Jimmy's tail because Jimmy wasn't complying with who? The Illuminati. Now, just to let you know that Janis Joplin knew the truth about Jimmy, as it was months later, they killed her because Janet wouldn't keep quiet. She was talking about it, and they was afraid that she would blow it up. So they got rid of Janis Joplin. And that Asian woman that said that Jimmy tried to take sex from her, they killed her a year later, too, because they can't leave no witnesses. When they orchestrate you and tell you what to say, they have to get rid of you. It's telling the truth about what you think you know and you really don't know, or what's going on in Hollywood of sodomites. Men run the industry. Men pollute this industry, and they tell you what you can and what you can't do. Now, here's the kicker. They always tell you to do the what? Follow your dreams. Perseverance. If you really believe in this thing, you can make it happen. What they don't tell you is what you have to do to get to where they're at. See, that's misleading. That's deceitful. They're not telling you the truth, man. And see, they're forbidden to tell you the truth because if they tell you the truth, off with their head. See, because once you join that gang of Illuminati, Boule, it's a ritual. And you agree to the terms that if you tell the secrets, they can cut your tongue out. You agree to that. You took an oath. You took a blood oath and say, I agree, I'll never tell the truth. Why do you think that all of these things are coming out? Because what the Most High told us in the book of Luke, everything's in the dark going to come to light. You can't hide no more. And basically what the Lord has shown you, Satan does not have a crew that can upset him, because the Lord allows Satan to use you that way. You was under a test, man. This whole galaxy is a test. But only the strong going to survive. You can't serve two masters, y'all. So y'all think y'all going to take the oath and still get prayed up? Come on, man. Go ahead. When you first come into the music industry, you got to take the oath. There is no ifs, ands about it. You're going to take the oath. Just because you get a recording contract don't mean that you're part of the elite. You just on the recording contract, and yes, you have to take the oath whenever you get a contract, but you're not necessarily a part of the elite because you're not making any money. The people who are part of the elite and do blood sacrifices to get to where they are, they've been hand-chosen. And they went to them and said, look, we believe that you can be an asset to our family. Are you willing to be a part of the family? We can put you at the 20 million marker. We can put you at the 30 million marker. And you'd be like, well, what do I have to do?
Of course you're uncertain, Cal. Naturally, so was I, till I met him. But now imagine, if you can, a life without uncertainty, freedom from doubt, the ability to choose, single-mindedness.
One life from each of us, Cal, is all he asks. And he rewards our devotion 1,000-fold.
Personal desires, oh yes, of course, anything. That's part of it.
It's only the beginning.
There was a time, Cal, when man was at one with the gods before the fall. Now we're at one again.
Cal, I want you to join us.
Listen, they're all a part of the Baphomet. You have to take the oath. The oath is the Baphomet, even if you get a recording deal. But you are not into destroying the Lord's word unless you get hand-chosen to be a part of that $20, $30 million work. Now, they just don't tell you, hey, you're going to get that $30 million. They offer it to you because you have to be perfectly aware that we're asking you to do this. See, they just can't trick you. You get me? They just can't trick you and say, well, he don't know he's serving the devil, because the Lord won't honor it. You have to be perfectly aware that you are going against the Lord's people. You're going against what the Lord stands for. And when you shake on it, you sign that damn contract in blood. And I'm telling you how they get down. You sign the contract in blood once you agree to these men that you're willing to destroy God's word.